coming to you here with another edition of Cows and Quacks, exclusively on 12-ounce Sports Radio. Joined always is my co-host that consistently outpicks me, Mr. Tim Alcorn.
How you doing, brother? How's everybody doing out there?
Great.
Been having a pretty good year so far, but it's just getting started. So, hey, did you see real quick who the offensive player of the week was?
I knew this.
The Big 12.
I knew this was going to happen. So, a little context, folks. I was talking mad trash about Casey Thompson watching the Texas game, and then come to find out, the kid just tore it up and made me eat my own words. So, Casey Thompson, I owe you an apology. I am sorry. I will not doubt your abilities, my man. So, yeah. Texas looked great. This is the first full game I've had a chance to watch. I know you were working, didn't get a chance to see it all.
Yeah.
But, man, they really took it to Texas Tech. I was thoroughly impressed. So
I didn't see that. Texas Tech, it usually goes down to the last many years. It goes down to the last play. And I believe that Bijan put himself right back in the Heisman race.
Yeah, he made a few moves, and I even texted you during the game that he was just playing running back at a very elite level. You can see a difference, and he just has that it. You know what I mean?
I told you this guy's going to be in Ricky Williams' territory and Earl Campbell when he gets done. This kid is a man amongst boys out there. And
it sounds like a very Homer kind of situation, but yeah, I will attest, dude, completely. And it is absolutely impressive to watch him play. Absolutely impressive. So
20 touches and 191 yards speaks for itself.
Yeah, no, he did awesome. Yeah. Oregon had. Honestly, I feel like Oregon had a great game. A lot of Duck fans will disagree with me on that. Ended up beating Arizona pretty handily. I think we had something like 5 interceptions in that game. Arizona made some noise, and this is something though I really Duck fans have got to start understanding, and we haven't seen it for a while at Oregon, but when you are top dog and you're ranked, especially in the top 5, let alone top 3 in the country, you have the biggest freaking target on your back forever. Every team wants to come in and play spoiler. You are going to get the best Arizona team, not the team that lost to NAU. You're going to get the best Arizona team imaginable, and we saw it. They played way out of their league.
Also, you got to remember too that these teams know each other. Right. These teams know each other's nuances, and that's why, and y'all ended up blowing out Arizona. And I was shocked when Texas just from the get-go just went off.
Well, they know each other, but they don't know Sark. That makes it a little different. Yeah. I do want to address something though. So Rod Gilmore is a son of a bitch. And I'll just come right out and say it. Announcer for ESPN. There was a point in the game Saturday where Chris Hudson, our 5-star receiver, made an incredible catch, and he dropped and spun the ball on the field and posed. Acted like a punk, got flagged 15 yards, killed the drive at the end of the half. Oregon was marching, probably would have put up a touchdown before the half, right? Cristobal gets in his face, reams him. Chris Hudson does exactly what he should do. Yes, sir. Yes, coach. Goes to the bench. Perfect.
I saw that.
Perfect exchange. And if you've never played football before, you might not understand it. You get your ass chewed a lot. And you're making mistakes. But you also have a coach that's passionate about winning and passionate about the culture within his own program. Rod Gilmore has the audacity not only to make disparaging remarks about Mario on air, but that wasn't enough for Rod. Rod wanted to go ahead and play a race card. And so on Twitter, he wanted to make it about, he goes, this is just another example of a white man talking down to a black kid. The problem with that take is, first of all, it's complete asinine. But beyond that, Cristobal's Cuban. He's not white. And Twitter ripped Rod apart. Because quite candidly, comments and stereotypes get reinforced when people make comments like that. Racism fuels up because of ignorant shit like that. It's astounding to me that he got assigned to the Oregon game this weekend. But I will tell you this. Mario knows and sees everything around the program. He is well aware of that. And Rod is a Stanford grad. So if you think there's maybe a little bit more pep in Oregon step this week against Stanford, one thing you never do with a guy like Mario, never make it personal.
Here's the thing, and this goes for every coach and every young player. They're not just building a football team; they're making these young boys men, and a mistake like that has to be corrected. He has to show him this is not the way it's done, because not only do you not showboat on the field, but you don't showboat in life either. And it's a life lessons is what it was.
It is. And listen, Chris Hudson went back out there and played the rest of the game and had a great game. Didn't do that again. Had some great catches. Threw some great blocks. You have to learn that you're part of a unit, that you're part of a team. And it doesn't mean the coach hates you. Doesn't mean the coach is racist. What it means is the coach is setting a standard within his program, and he's well within his right to do it. Chris Hudson's mom on Twitter got out and like I completely endorse this behavior. As a parent, when my kids play sports, if they get their ass chewed because they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, I'm fine with it. And that goes into a completely different world. But this is a place we're at in our society where you see someone get a talking to for doing something wrong, to correct the behavior, to break a pattern of behavior and not showboat. And then people get upset about that. And it's like, you don't understand. This is the right way to do things, folks. Like, you see something that shouldn't happen, you address it and move on. You don't just sweep it under the rug. So I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with Rod Gilmore. Honestly, those kind of remarks have no place in college football. The guy should be fired. He doesn't need to be broadcasting college sports if he's going to just talk trash about a coach and try to paint him as a racist. That's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, it's like he could have actually looked at the last name and figured out Cristobal wasn't white.
What does that say about the ignorance of Rod Gilmore, though? How are you going to make racist comments like that on Twitter?
Well, I mean, that's how you get likes, and that's how you get, it's.
He got ratioed. He got ratioed big time.
too often the race card is played when it's not racism.
Yeah.
But and often it is racism. I mean, I understand, and there's places where it's called out, and I'm glad that it was brought to his attention that it wasn't being racist. And maybe Rod Gilmore learned something from it.
Yeah.
We can hope that. But yeah, I tell you, I told you, and I want you to keep circling this name and keep remembering our true freshman, Xavier Worthy. The kid's a stud. 5 catches, 100 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This true freshman, I told you, he's the real deal.
I don't have any doubt in my mind about him. He's dude. You guys got a really good team. If you can shake off Arkansas, which is looking more like a better loss each week, Texas has just as good a shot as anyone, especially with how weak Oklahoma's playing to win the Big 12. And listen, man, I have a real problem with Oklahoma. I have a real problem with them. Their defense is bad, like straight up bad.
But like I told you, they do this every year, and then they correct it. We'll see if they correct it. I'm not going to trash them because I know they always play bad the first half and kill everybody the second. So they're well coached. They got great athletes. Let's see where it goes. At this point in time, they appear to be a fraud, but you know what? They're undefeated, and they can correct the ship. And we got them in a couple weeks, and I don't want them to correct the ship until after us.
Ideally, they don't correct the ship at all, in my opinion. Tim played West Virginia. But this happens
every year.
Every
year they look bad.
Their margin of victory against these opponents, 5 against Tulane, 7 against Nebraska, 3 against West Virginia. These aren't like ranked teams.
Remember, someone said to one of your players, "There's not a bad win."
Yeah. I know what I opened myself up to there. All right, let's get into some games, man. Friday Night Lights, number 5, Iowa flies clear across the country to play an undefeated Maryland. Tua Tagovailoa, the second one, is playing great football for Maryland. This game is low-key sneaky. Iowa's only a 3.5-point favor on the road. This is a tough game, and we talked about this off air. Listeners, whether you bet the odds with what we pick, whether you just do this for fun, this is a bettor's nightmare this week. These games are so hard to figure out. I put them down obviously because this is what we do. But
Maryland's been building. Maryland's been building. We've been seeing it. I like the culture at Maryland right now.
They're looking better. They're looking cleaner. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, absolutely. They're crisp.
They finish plays. They finish tackles. They aren't going for olays. They are literally wrapping up. And sometimes players want to get into the big hits or like trying to strip the ball. These guys really aren't doing that, but what they're doing is they're, like you said, they're finishing plays. When you have that discipline on defense, a 2-yard play is a 2-yard play. It doesn't turn into a 6-yard play. And that makes a huge difference over the course of a game. Huge. And Maryland's been able to consistently win and keep going, which is why I'm taking them in the upset. I got Maryland not only winning outright, but I think they're going to win big. I have them. Andrea, AJ, I'm really sorry about this. I have them beating Iowa on Friday night on their home field. I have them beating them 28-17.
See, now I'm the opposite. I believe Iowa's for real. I believe that defense is very, very good. I don't believe that Maryland's quite ready for that prime time. This is going to be a big game. I see a close game, but in the end, I see Iowa pulling out 24-21. I'm on the Iowa bandwagon.
Hey, you can love on those Hawkeyes. We're okay with that. Bring us into our next game here on Separation Saturday.
This is
this is where it gets dicey. Yeah.
This is to me, this is the toughest game that we're going to pick. It's number 7 Cincinnati, who the eye test shows you Cincinnati is for real. This is their coming out party if they're gonna play with the big boys. And I know you hate Notre Dame, but Notre Dame is the big boy.
They are.
Notre Dame is
They're winning their games.
They correct things. They played well last week. Here's where the head and the heart, you got to separate the two in my estimation. My heart says Cincinnati. My head says Notre Dame 28-24.
I honestly, I don't disagree. I've learned my lesson the last few weeks picking against Notre Dame, which probably means Cincinnati's going to win. But I'm taking Notre Dame 24-20. It's at home. Notre Dame really found their rhythm mid-fourth quarter against Wisconsin. Wisconsin completely imploded. If Notre Dame plays like they did in the fourth quarter of the Wisconsin game, Cincinnati doesn't stand a chance. They really don't. That being said, though, you're right. I think that I wrote down Notre Dame 24-20 in this game. I think Notre Dame is going to continue to win these games by a very slim margin the rest of the way. And honestly, I'm not sure who's going to trip them up. I mean, they're good enough just to barely win.
Here's my deal. For us and what we believe in and what we want to see happen, both our hearts are with Cincinnati.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that does so much for college football, and that loss doesn't put Notre Dame out of the playoffs. I mean, they could still, just according how bad the SEC beats up on each other, not certain that a team's going to come out of the Big 12. Not really certain. No. So I'm going to pull for Cincinnati because I believe it helps the little guy and they are on the verge of becoming big guys. And I think both of us would love to see the upset.
Absolutely. Absolutely would love to see a game like that. Notre Dame deserves to be upset with how crappy they've played, with the exception of the fourth quarter against Wisconsin. I watched Notre Dame's games. The only game that I've looked at where they looked good was the fourth quarter of the Wisconsin game. That's it.
Yeah, well, and Wisconsin kind of imploded, like you said, and I will not be shocked at all, not even one iota, if Cincinnati wins this game.
No, not at all. Go ahead and bring us into our next one here, man.
Yeah, we got, and hey, I got to toot my own horn. I told you Baylor was going to upset them. I told you that Iowa State was on upset alert. But Okie State, hell of a coach team. I'm a man is a hell of a coach.
Come after me.
Come after me. Funny story about that. I always talk about my high school, North Shore High School, which is one of the best programs in the nation. That quarterback he was talking about came from North Shore. And he screwed the kid. But that's another thing. Well, that's another story for another day. Probably cost the kid a pro career. But anyhow, that's another story for another day. I believe Baylor, they got their big upset last week. Going to be a high-scoring affair. I have Oklahoma State winning it 42-37.
Wow, man. It's almost like we've been doing this for a while together. I have Okie State, the Fighting Mullets here. I have them 41-35. Yeah, I just I like Okie State at home. They're a different team in Stillwater than they are on the road, right? And yeah, I not that I dislike Baylor, but when you spring a trap game, then people pay attention to you, and I think they're gonna catch that a little bit.
I was listening to Adam Schefter maybe, or one of the NFL insiders, and Matt Rule was at Baylor. He was at Temple before that, then Baylor, and then Carolina hired him. Now Carolina's 3-0, and they're replacing who he called just an incredible leader. That Matt Rule is just a leader of men. And so look for good things for the Carolina Panthers in the future. And I think Baylor is a good team. I just think that maybe they're outcoached in this one.
Yeah, I would agree. That doesn't mean they're not going to make their way back at some point.
When you're this close as far as each other, I think coaching makes the huge difference. Bringing us in the next one, and man, oh man, I like this game.
I hear a train coming. It's coming around the bend. Ole Miss and the Lane Train pulling into Tuscaloosa. Number 12, Ole Miss, who arguably has the best looking offense I've seen anywhere in college football this year, playing maybe a vulnerable Alabama. Alabama's a 14.5-point favorite at home. Makes total sense. But is this really the number one team in the country? And we're going to really find out exactly who these teams are very quickly in this game. Dude, I'm excited for this game. This game is going to be so much fun to watch. The storylines with Kiffin and Saban and Ole Miss looking really good.
I believe they're a top 10 team.
I agree completely.
I love their unis. They're blue unis, by the way.
They're baby blue. Yeah. I listen, if this were in Mississippi, if this were Oxford, I would probably be taking Ole Miss. Probably would be taking them just because the atmosphere alone would be enough to freak out a couple of, all-world defensive players for Alabama. This is in Tuscaloosa. That is one of the most difficult places to play a complete football game and win. Alabama, to me, they're going through some growing pains this year, but their growing pains are different than anyone else's. Right.
Their growing pain is 5-star recruits.
Right. And reloading and teaching those guys Alabama football. I have Alabama winning this one 45-44. This is going to be an absolute gunslinger of a game. In the end, I like Bama. I think they got just a little bit more depth to be able to do it. But man, this is a razor thin margin in my opinion. The spread is way too out. If you're betting on this game, take the points all day long.
I see it differently, and this is going to be a track meet. This is going to be a track meet where a football game breaks out. I see, Jared.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, I you went dead there for a second. I see Ole Miss and Alabama shooting back and forth, touchdown, 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 going for it on fourth down, hardly punting. I see a 7-point game with 2 minutes left. I see a Bama interception for a touchdown to end the game. I have it 62-48 Alabama.
You have a pick six to end the game.
Yes.
62 what?
48. It probably won't be to end the game, but maybe a minute left, and it'll be 62-48. I still like the points, brother.
Okay. If you're listening,
that still wins by half a point.
That still wins by half a point. Talk to me about your horns.
Well, obviously I like the horns going in there. I don't like the fact that SMU tried to plant the flag.
Oh,
TCU's going to be pissed off. They're mad as a hornet's nest. And I believe it's going to be a good game. I believe that Bijan, Casey, Xavier, I think they'll be too much. I think it'll be competitive for a while, but in the end, I have Texas winning 46-28.
Yeah, emotion only lasts so long in a football game, right? And you see that all the time. You see this emotional surge from a team. They're amped up for whatever reason. It was SMU being disrespectful last week for TCU. Okay, get that. At some point, though, reality sets in. And honestly, I think this game's going to be fairly close until probably the mid-third quarter. But again, this comes back to depth, and we talk about that a lot on our show. Depth in college football is really huge. It's one of the main reasons why a lot of these teams can consistently win the way they do, because they just have dudes at every position 2 to 3 deep that can rotate in. And a lot of these teams that are maybe peaking early, like, Iowa, Ole Miss is a great example of that. UCLA's running into those issues. They're 1 deep. So if you go to the bench, you're dealing with a guy that's in development mode. You're not dealing with a guy that's ready to play. And, that was my fear with Oregon against Ohio State. And Oregon, was able to hang with them, and they had the depth as well. But yeah, I have Texas in this 38-21. I think they pull away mid-third quarter. TCU's going to give them a game. There's not a time in my head that I could ever look at a TCU team and just think they're going to roll over. They're not built that way. But I don't think they got the depth to hang with Texas for 4 quarters.
Make no mistake, Gary Patterson is one of the best coaches in college football.
Totally respect that guy.
All of college football.
Totally respect that guy. He's done just an incredible job and stayed at TCU, and that's so respectable to me.
And he could have almost any job he wanted if it's open.
Yeah. Oregon goes on down to the farm, as we call it out here in the Pac-12. Play Stanford. 7-point favor, bumped it up to 8 actually after I put out the schedule. People are probably taking the points in that one. What are you looking for in this one, Tim? I'm curious.
Does the tree get to play any plays or not? Does he get to come in or not?
No tree plays.
That make a difference because he's a little bigger, a little taller. I see Stanford wanting to hang with them, and this is exactly, again, this is depth. Oregon. Mario Cristobal is as good a recruiter as there is in the country, in my opinion. He's shown that. Your depth, your second stringers are ready to play football. Stanford, not so much. They have different grade point average, etc. That they let people. They don't just let anybody
You
in.
calling us
You know?
stupid, Tim? Are you saying
No,
we're
not
dumb?
at all. I'm just saying that if you got a Stanford degree, you're going to do okay in life.
You are. You're going to do fine. Yeah.
And I see it close for half, maybe into the third quarter for a while. But I have Oregon pulling away, winning 35-21.
Yeah. Listen, David Shaw is honestly outside of Mario and Chip Kelly. He's right in there with my favorite coach. I love this guy. I love this guy.
Stand up guy.
My God, dude, the stuff this guy has done for people off the field and never asked for any press attention, never asked for any media coverage, just did it because it was the right thing to do. Seriously, one of the unsung heroes of college football is David Shaw, and what he's been able to do at Stanford consistently, year in, year out, dealing with what you're talking about with the grade level recruiting issues. I mean, last year they had so many guys transfer out, Tim. It was remarkable, and it was sad. It was really sad. He just finds a way year in, year out to keep Stanford competitive. Doesn't mean they're going to win the Pac-12 this year. They won't. But, they were in the UCLA game up until mid-fourth quarter. I expect them to be similar with Oregon. They're going to come out fired up, but this comes back to depth. It's one deep, and you get just below that, and they just don't have the guys to compete for 60 minutes at the level. For 30 minutes, sure, but Oregon's going to make adjustments. The coaching adjustments with Oregon, with DeRuyter on defense and Moorhead on offense this year have been absolutely brilliant. I am a little concerned about Anthony Brown, physically, not mentally. He looked a little banged up. Kayvon didn't really look like himself, but I don't necessarily think we need those guys to have a humongous game. Oregon just needs to get through this game, and we have a bye week, and then we come back from that, and we play Cal and then UCLA. So it's going to get real pretty quick for Oregon. I have us winning 35-17, pretty similar score prediction to you. I think it's going to be it's going to be a solid win. They'll maintain their position in the polls. And that's really all they need to do at this point is just win. That's it.
Hey, something, and I'm sure you'll get good replacements, but you will lose your two coordinators to head coaching positions next year.
That's
Moorhead is gone for sure. He's so sought after.
Honestly, if I'm him, I would leave too. I don't blame him one bit, and I have no misconception that coordinators that come through Oregon will consistently crank out a high level, and get Oregon to where they need to be consistently. As long as Mario stays, I'm cool. I will always find a coach to come in and coach the way we need to win. And Oregon's a great job. And if it helps build somebody's resume like Moorhead, where he ends up, going to coach Miami or USC or wherever, right? More power to the guy. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for making Oregon better.
And that's what you're supposed to. You want to coach at the highest level if you're a college.
Well, and that's just it. As a fan too, you want your coaches sought after. You do. I mean, that's a sign that you're doing things right. And when people want to throw out big numbers to Mario about, hey, let's get Mario to USC, Miami, and Mario's like, no, that should tell you everything you need to know about where Oregon's going. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty special to see. I'm going to let you bring in our game of the week because I know you're jacked up on this one.
Yeah, and this one is we've been touting Arkansas for a while. Arkansas's for real. They're going in to play number 8 Arkansas, going in number 2 Georgia. I'll go first on this one. I'll let you finish up. The Georgia defense, to me, is one of the best defenses I've seen play college football. And that's saying a lot, but They are that good. I mean, it's as advertised. Arkansas's for real. Arkansas can run the ball. And maybe I'm wrong here. I think the 19.5 points is asinine.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I think that's insane.
But I do believe that Georgia has good enough corners and safeties to put 7 people in the box, play man-to-man. Arkansas is still going to get their yardage, but it's not going to be like it has been. They are going to run into a lot of brick walls because I truly believe this defense is of the elite. But have a great game. And anybody that's ever watched crowds, when you go play between the hedges, that crowd's nuts, man. That crowd's going to be crazy, drunk, and having a good time. I have Georgia winning 27-23.
Man, I was almost convinced you're going to take Arkansas this week.
Georgia's just too good.
I watched the entire game against A&M. Things that stood out to me was speed on the edges with Georgia really, really put their quarterback in a bunch of horrible positions. Georgia. They really, really made it difficult on him. He had a half second from snapping a shotgun to get a playoff. It was just ridiculous, dude. A&M's issues to me really come down to quarterback play, but more so than that, they just couldn't even run the ball to get their quarterback some space. They did get in the rhythm there in the fourth and made a push, and then Arkansas shut it down, which is a really strong sign of a good team. It's not like they were playing some cream puff. A&M's a great program. I mean, really, like they're a really good team. So for them to get out on a lead and just shut them down, and then make a surge on them, play 2 quarterbacks, okay, and then also shut down A&M's comeback when they needed to win the game, that was impressive. Now, if that game's in College Station, I don't know if it goes that way for Arkansas. I don't know if A&M doesn't feed off the energy at being at home a little more and come back and win that game, because even though Arlington was packed full of mainly A&M fans, I still don't know. There's something about playing at home, even if you have all your fans and you're on the road. It's just different.
You're still on the road.
It's just different. I'm taking Georgia in this one by a very slim margin. I have 24-21, and the reason why is JT Daniels is not a cream puff quarterback.
No,
he can make a play in a half second if he needs to. He's fast. He's sharp. He's dangerously accurate. Georgia is going to struggle to run the ball, I believe, on Arkansas, because Arkansas' front is no joke. No joke. They're just as good as Georgia's, but I think you nailed it. When it comes to Georgia's ability to let their corners and safeties really take over the game and do what they got to do, and you load the box, that's really where this game comes in. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. Arkansas is going to make some plays, though. They are. They're going to score on Georgia's defense. They're going to find some weaknesses there that we haven't seen before. But again, I think Georgia's just so much better on defense that they're going to put a stop to it when they need to, and that's why they win the game. What was your score again on that one?
I have a 27-23 game.
Man, we are in sync so much. It's ridiculous, dude. So, I mean, you look at the margins on these games. The 2 biggest margins were Ole Miss at Alabama and Georgia, and we're looking at pretty close games all around that could easily be upsets both places. And so that's to me, I struggle to understand sometimes where the bettors make their odds, how they're looking at things, because if I'm looking at that, I mean, they're giving no credit to Arkansas, which is horribly disrespectful, and no credit to Ole Miss, which is horribly disrespectful.
Well, they know the bettors are going to go towards Alabama and towards Georgia, so they got to bring it high enough so people will vote. Because they just want people to 50% on each side, and they get the juice. They don't care about they want half the people to vote to bet for Arkansas and half of them for Georgia, and they get the juice. So they're taking in the money. Like I said, I would run to take the 19.5 against Georgia.
Yeah.
And before we go, I know we're running out of time. You want my upset of the week?
Give me your upset of the week, Tim. I want to hear who you're looking at.
Whiskey beats Michigan.
Ooh, we didn't even talk about that game. That's definitely a game to keep an eye on too. Rutgers kind of made a push on them last week, and if whiskey happens to get inspired, you never know what could happen there.
Hey, Rutgers was 2 paintball guns away from winning that game.
Kids will be kids sometimes, man. So next week we're back again as always. We're gonna be seeing Georgia play at Auburn, Arkansas play at Ole Miss. It's just SEC, man. They're cannibalizing themselves. Maryland playing in the shoe, Michigan State playing Rutgers. Oregon's off. You guys have what game coming up next week?
We have
some little game at the Texas County Fair, I think.
I think Oklahoma or something like that. I can't pronounce the name.
Being played at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, something like that. The Red River
Yeah,
Rivalry.
and you know what? I'm so glad. And I love Jerry World. Incredible stadium. I'm so glad that they've kept tradition and kept this thing in the Cotton Bowl.
It's really amazing, man. It's awesome to see. What is confusing to me, though, is they play this game in the Cotton Bowl, but the Cotton Bowl is not played in the Cotton Bowl. That part of me is a little confusing.
Well, I mean, I get it. I get it. That's the Cotton Bowl's a pretty big thing, and Jerry's going to win out there.
Well,
Jerry wins out a lot.
Jerry always wins. just like the odds makers, the house at the end of the day always wins.
Oh, and by the way, Dak Prescott looks good, bro.
I'm not getting too high.
Damn.
I'm not going to get into professional football yet.
Yeah.
I'm still too high on Oregon football and college football being back and everything else. And we'll be back next week. But until then,